find yourself in a situation where you have given all hopes in your dreams and your aspirations, we may encounter many defeats, but never be defeated. So, join me, Ismael A Charles, on the inspirational program, My Story, as we bring you stories of people that will motivate you and uplift your spirit. Remember, you're never too old to start a new goal or even dream a new dream. So what does it mean to be a humanitarian? Campaigning for sick poor children in Sierra Leone, considering the economic hardship in the country. It takes a whole lot of compassion, a whole lot of strength to beg for money. Well, today in My Story, it is the story of Ismael A Charles, Program Manager of Caritas Freetown. He is a humanitarian, a philanthropist. The story of an ex-child soldier. Yeah. How he transformed his life to be a humanitarian. I am Ismael A Charles, and this is My Story.
Because of this condition we get, so please, at the beg una, we all get picking them. Nobody no wants let you picking, they go through pain like this. Baby Mustafa need we all we help. Any little thing where we get, follow we go make let baby Mustafa go get this treatment where go saving life, where we make him a better person and grow up for be a good child. Wanna help we let this happen for him, please. You see, they're in a total distress and not just a baby, and not deserve this right now. Oh baby.
Yes, a humanitarian campaigner for sick, poor babies in Sierra Leone. We got to know him during the days of baby Mustafa, the wonderful Ismael A Charles. Hello, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for featuring my story.
You're welcome, and thanks for having us in your office today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, before we get to know the proper humanitarian that you are, let's get to know your childhood experience. What was it like for you growing up?
Well, basically, I grew up in a society or community where, most times we have extended family members around. And by that I mean aunties and uncles and their own children. And so I grew up having a lot of compassion and sympathy. Whenever I see any of my aunts or our neighbors beating their children, I will cry along with that child. And so my childhood was one that was filled with lots of mixed feelings. Partially, I was in Freetown before the conflict. When I said the conflict, the civil war in Sierra Leone. And then when rebels were getting closer and closer to Freetown, my mom thought Kono would be a safe place for me to go because my father was based in Yomandu, a village in the Sandor Chiefdom in Kono district. And so she said, it's best that you can go to your father and stay there while, because Freetown was expected to be hotter. Unfortunately, I left Freetown on a public, government bus and went to Freetown, and it was only 3 days after my stay in Koidu that we had the first attack in 1991. So as a boy, I left. We had to leave, and I have lived through a lot of difficult moments. Prior to that, after that, I was also staying with my aunt, who was basically my caregiver. What we normally call in Creole menos. And so while I was in Prince of Wales, my transition from St. Edward's Primary School to Prince of Wales School in Kingdom was one that also had a lot of mixed feelings. So it was, in a way, logically or psychologically not very okay, but it also helped to prepare me to become the man I am today.
And going through school, what was that experience for you?
Going through school, as we always say, school days are not the happiest, but they're not the best. It was a very exciting moment. We have lots of good friends. very inspiring friends that from the days of St. Edward's Primary School. I was made a school prefect. I have always had some ways of becoming a leader in among my peers in many ways. And also in Prince of Wales, where I entered in 1996. And 2 years after, I was made a class prefect in Three Blue, and then also in SSS1. Normally, at that time in Prince of Wales School, every senior school student wears a short trousers. But when you made a school prefect, you wear a long sleeve and a long trousers. And we were all very much looking forward to that when we get to SS3. But interestingly, because I was made a school prefect in SSS1, I had to start wearing a long trousers and a long sleeve and have a tie on. So that actually increased the swag as a boy, and you know what that means. And it was very interesting moment to be able to, being recognized among your peers. But the realities is those were the days when we go to school also with only 300 leons, which was only enough to buy cassava and gravy, and the sauce. And so that's what we will eat for the day. The day you have enough money to buy a bottle of soda, soft drink in school, you're the top of the class. So you feel like you're the top of the class. But the reality is we had very good friends, very good classmates, and the entirety of the school. We were involved into a lot of different activities that actually brought about lots of inspirations and give us the ability and the skills that we're using right now. In Prince of Wales, we say they teach us to become princes. So we exhibit the princely characters even after school.
Okay. So my next question, you wouldn't want to tell, he is also becoming an author, and he's got his book coming up shortly. But tell us a little. Being an ex-child soldier, you were kidnapped during the war, and you've been able to transform your life into the person that you are today. What was that experience for you, being a child soldier?
I mean, the experience was it's a memorable one. Not before now, it was one that I never wanted to remember or never want to recollect until 2012 when I met a priest, an American priest called Monsignor Dan Sullivan of blessed memory. Actually got me into start telling my story because he believed that my story is a story of resilience, and that's how we've been able to have my story come into the public arena. However, growing up and going through all the difficulties and challenges and making the decision to study peace and conflict studies, which was my first university course, before reading international humanitarian studies in Fordham University in New York. And additionally with a number of other professional courses that I've been embarking on, it's a whole life reshaping process. I am putting together this book, which is almost 75 or 80% done. It's a 10-chapter book, and it primarily tells my story from a child, and the book is actually titled From a Child Soldier to Humanitarian. The story of resilience and turning the scar into star. So primarily, I had a lot of scars, in my brain and generally in my entire life growing up. But those scars actually been turned into star. And I mean, today, even this morning, I was being celebrated. I received another award right there as one of the 10 influential or most outstanding Sierra Leoneans in recognition of our efforts.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And just on Saturday, I received a humanitarian award from the Confederation of African Youths. However, the road to get to these processes has been a very long one. I grew up in those difficulties, but then after my experience with the rebel incursion, I was captured as a child soldier, stayed behind rebel lines for a little while, and went through those moments of difficulties, and I call them moments of crucifix, and then eventually was able to escape. In my story or in my book, Eclipsing the Odd, I actually try to point out what I call the 3 main miracles. And those were the moments that normally we would say this is the end, and this is actually where it's where the end road is. This is the end of my life, but God has a purpose, and because of His purpose that He had, transformation took place, and something actually positively interrupted for me not to have died or had my hands maimed off, because it would have been very difficult for me to be able to do what I am doing right now if I had my hands maimed.
So, what gives you that zeal to be a humanitarian, campaigning for sick babies here in Sierra Leone? You've been doing a great job, reason why you've been accorded loads of recognition locally and internationally. It's such a huge task. How has it been for you? What gives you that strength?
Well, this is when I was going to school when I was in JSS 3, primarily before taking the Becker examination, I wanted to be a medical doctor. And this was a desire born since I was a child, since I was in primary school. And, and my mother helped to nurture that in my head and believing that medical doctors are the only compassionate people. That was my thought, and that was my idea. So the primary essence of that was because I wanted to show love to people who are in difficulties. I wanted to show and help bring smiles to people who are in pain. And so when I took the Becker examination, I failed mathematics. And so my principal, by then Mrs. Ogu, Millicent Ogu, says, no, you can't go into science stream with an F, with 7, which is more of an F in mathematics. So you have to choose a commercial stream or you go into the art stream. And at that time also, because we didn't have proper counseling, it was a psychological belief that commercial stream is for only women. So I said, I can't find myself going into commercial stream when, it's mainly for women. So I ended up going into the art stream. And so I was admitted in SSS 1 Art 1, and then SSS 1 Art 2, and then, SSS 1 Art 2, so SSS 2 Art 1, and also finally to SSS 3 Art, and then I took the WAS examination in 2003. And the desire was, I was confused what to actually read until I went for a counseling session, and then I was told that, oh, you can actually read peace and conflict studies with the kind of results you have. And so that's how I was able to admit it at Frabe College and started with a diploma in peace and conflict studies, which I ended up graduating with. And that's how I got into this field. And so when I actually did my first internship, the first article that I wrote is called What NMJD Has Taught Me. NMJD is Network Movement for Justice and Development. It's a very popular national non-governmental organization, and they provided me with the first opportunity and insight, and that was how I had a transformation of knowledge and mindset that yes, I can still be able to serve people. So I started working with NMJD as a gap visit coordinator, helping to coordinate visits for children, for young people who are coming from the United Kingdom, coming to Sierra Leone mainly to do assessment before they had what they call a gap year visit. So they will come as gappers and visit different projects across the country, and I was the one charged with that responsibility of helping to coordinate that visit with the young people who were coming in and serve as a tour guide at the same time. So after this, I had in-depth and better understanding of what other fields that you can actually serve humanity, not just as a medical doctor. So that helped me, a lot. And in 2009, I started working for Caritas. So in October precisely, so this October will make me 10 years in Caritas. And I actually came into Caritas and started working on humanitarian relief-related programs. And so every disaster that has happened in Sierra Leone, especially within the western area, urban and rural, Caritas Freetown has been very prominent, and I have played some very key leading roles. So take, for instance, the cholera outbreak in 2012. We were very much involved. The Ebola outbreak in 2014, we were very much involved. And as a matter of fact, myself and our executive director, Father Peter Conte, had the opportunity to present at the United States Senate and speak about the sufferings of people and the socioeconomic impact Ebola has on Sierra Leone generally. And after which, We continued to do what we did, and in 2017, when we had the unfortunate mudslide and flooding, and also continuously on a consistent basis, we've been involved in helping to solve and bringing smiles back to people who have been in difficult moments. And interestingly, in 2018, ending of 2017, December area around, the mother of baby Mustafa, Chris Finn, came walking to our executive director, Father Peter, and says, having heard of all the good things that we've been doing, especially the fact that we were very active, we were always on the media for the feeding programs that we're doing in the varied camps of people who were displaced by the mudslide and flood. Chris Finn says she was looking for help from us so that we can be able to help her pay the $36,000 for baby Mustafa. So that the transplantation can be done, and she volunteered that she will be the donor of her own liver so that the transplant can be done. However, this was a very difficult situation for us because we know a desperate mother was trying to save her child, but at the same time, we didn't have the money. So my executive director, Father Peter, called that I should be in that meeting, and he said, Charles is someone who knows how to play a little bit around with social media. So probably we should have Charles to think about what he can do and report back to us.
Charles, that is referring to you.
That he was referring to me. Okay. And so I had this very difficult task of never tried to raise funds locally, even though I have a lot of experience in fundraising, and I always teach our preschool coordinators in the different preschool programs, teach those educators to be able to raise funds on their own. So I said, okay, I've been teaching people, more of theoretical kind of teaching. Let me put those theories into practice and see how it works. And so with the blessings from our executive director, Father Peter, we started and took the first sets of pictures with baby Mustafa and shared those pictures on social media. On a consistent basis, we have to be consistent because that's the only way we can hammer the message home. And information is power. When people know about things, they can act in many cases. And so we started putting out the messages consistently and try to use the traditional media and use social media. And eventually we start having small results. And then we were able to tap into the First Lady's goodwill. And she joined me in helping to campaign and join our team. We had a team of young people, who were very much compassionate and wanted to help baby Mustafa and the mother. And eventually, the First Lady gave us that opportunity and did a 1 minute, few seconds video, which went viral, which helped. Because at the time before she did the video, we already had almost about 45% of the money. But her video actually made us got the remaining 55%, and it exceeded even what we were looking for. We were looking for $36,000, and we ended up getting $41,000. And it was a one-off design.
We see more babies coming up, and it's more work for you to be done, more campaigning, cajoling people to help. How challenging has that been for you?
It has been very challenging. I mean, once we finished the baby Mustafa campaign, we thought that was, we're done and dusted. It's finished. We'll not do this again. We're happy that we have been able to contribute to saving the life. My office had to help buy my tickets, and I flew after them to India so that I can provide the public with updates. And eventually, baby Mustafa's surgery went successfully after 18 hours in the theater, and everything went well, and they came back home. Before they even returned, there was already baby Miriam. And we had to start doing the fundraising for baby Miriam, which we did for almost 5 good months. And eventually was able to send, since June 2018, we were able to send baby Miriam and the mother to India on the 7th of November. And so they went for the surgery successfully. And after the surgery, we then had, before the surgery, sorry, we then had baby Mariama. So we're already overstretched and overwhelmed. But when you actually see the condition of the children, even when you say this is going to be the last child, you will not be able to let yourself turn a blind eye or again on those child when you see the suffering and the pains that they're going through. So that is how we ended up getting into the trouble of being able to get people, in the whole process.
Do you find yourself in a situation where you have given all hopes in your dreams and your aspirations? We may encounter many defeats, but never be defeated. So, join me, Ismael A Charles, on the inspirational program, My Story, as we bring you stories of people that will motivate you and uplift your spirit. Remember, you're never too old to start a new goal or even dream a new dream.
I am Ismael A Charles, Programs Manager for Caritas Freetown and Haley International Relief Foundation, and the lead campaigner for Sick Babies Project. This is my story.
Alright, this is the story of Ismael A Charles, a humanitarian, a philanthropist, and he's been doing a great job for sick babies through his being a compassionate person. He's been able to help children here, poor sick children here in Sierra Leone through the help of other Sierra Leoneans. Now, Ismael, do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel satisfied seeing the success of baby Mustafa, baby Mariama? Do you feel satisfied?
Of course I feel, the only reason why I continue to do this is because our desire is to have children are naturally people who have what we call infectious smiles. And the benefits and the payments that we get from doing this is seeing those children smiling back. Remember, I'm also a father of many girls and it brings a lot of fulfillment. And when you see those children coming back and they smile and they play, we were in the minister's office last Thursday with baby Marian to say thank you, and you will not believe how excited baby Marian was, how very strong and agile baby Marian was. She was running around the minister's office and almost break the flower vase on the center table. That is what we want every child to look like. That's the desire. And we were all very happy, and it brings a lot of fulfillment, having seen that child who was almost looking like someone who will die in the next minute. Her mouth was all yellowish, her eyes were very yellowish. She had a very protruded stomach, and she was almost always crying, and also sometimes she would just hum. When we all know how much pain she was going through. And at the end of the day, you see baby Marian being so active. And of course, the same with Carlos. Carlos, the boy who swallowed the straw, was also going through a lot of pain. Carlos was so down. And eventually, Carlos now looks very strong. And when he arrived at the airport, he was running. Yeah? When he saw his family, he was running. You will see how exciting it is. And when we had the last press conference, and Carlos was asking me to give him the 5, yeah, and you see how exciting it is. I was so emotional. I was so much enjoy that I had tears set up in my eyes, because you feel like this child will have died if we didn't make any effort. I am being given all the praises. I am being given all the recognition, but it's not me. It is God, because I believe it is God that is doing his work. And of course, it's God that actually entice and captivate the minds of all the other people who are helping me to campaign.
How can you describe yourself in general?
Generally, I would describe myself as the pioneer, and I would describe my executive director, Father Peter, as the initiator, and all the other people as the saviors, because they are the people who are actually saving. And God, of course, is the master savior, because he is the determinant. God only uses us to do the work he is supposed to do. So he's actually using us as the instruments to be able to carry out his work and show his glorification back. And we're very grateful and thankful to God and every other person who has done, either donated or actually helped us to campaign, because it's very humiliating. Walking on the streets of Freetown with boxes in your hand, begging for money, and people look at you like a common beggar, it requires a lot of humility. You have to be able to keep your pride away and ensure that you're selfless. Otherwise, you will not be able to do it. And that's one thing we've been able to manage.
So as we round up, how is family life for you? How do you find time to relax with all your busy schedule?
Thankfully to God, I have a wife who is very understanding. She's very much interested in what I do. She has joined me on so many occasions, campaigning on the street, carrying our own box, and also determining how we spend family resources, because we run a very liberal home. She brings her own resources and I also bring my own. And we determine most times that we will spend X amount of this on the sick babies project, and it's left with me to determine on which specific thing that we need to. And that has been a very good thing, and that's the reason why I'm seen a successful person. However, we always try to make time, especially on weekends, for our children. My wife comes to my office every day after work, and so we work together mostly until maybe 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock to be able to finish, because even after the regular full-time responsibility that I have, I still have to design messages, and she has been my consistent editor of every message that goes out. So
what advice would you want to give people out there?
My advice, probably firstly to young people, is that we must be able to be the change we want to see. We have reasons, we have enough NIG, we have enough strength. My executive director always says we will rest enough when we die, because we're going to rest for almost always. So when we're on planet Earth, we need to ensure that we do everything we could to the best of our ability to bring change. You don't have to be a wealthy person to help to make a change. If you can't do it on your own, join with people. Come join the Sick Babies donation project, and let us all collectively help to save the life of sick and underprivileged children. And to other people and adults and everyone, donating has never made anyone poor. Rather, giving replenishes with blessings. So let us all take the responsibility to share what we have for the sake of humanity. We don't have to give too much, because nothing is too small.
So how can one contact you to donate or join the Sick Babies project?
They can just contact 076 722 736. I go over that again. 076
You just watch the camera.
736. And at the same time, they can just also go to www.sickpikin.org, as in sickpikin.org, which is our website. They can pull us up or look us up on Facebook, the Sick Pikin Project. Thank you very much. And you can actually fill out the volunteering form on the website, or call us on 076-727-736 and be part of it.
Okay, thank you so very much, Ismael A Charles. We wish you all the best, and we pray that God bless you.
Thank you very much, and God bless you for bringing my story out there.
And well, that's how we end my story for today. It has been the story of Ismael Alfred Charles. Well, it has been so emotional here, listening to how the journey of being an ex-child soldier, how he transformed his life, and how he's been campaigning for sick poor babies here in Sierra Leone. I am Ismael A Charles. Thank you for watching. The program returns same time, same station. Do you find yourself in a situation where you have given all hopes in your dreams and your aspirations? We may encounter many defeats, but never be defeated. So, join me, Ismael A Charles, on the inspirational program, My Story, as we bring you stories of people that will motivate you and uplift your spirit. Remember, you're never too old to start a new